My name is Mia Gallagher, and I'm 35 years old. Last month, on a random Tuesday night, I walked into my kitchen and heard a soft ping from the corner of the counter. At first, I thought it was my phone, but mine was still in my purse. It was my husband's iPad. The screen lit up with a notification that made my stomach buckle. Operation Freedom. Getting him out. New message from Mom. That was the name of the group chat, right there on the lock screen. For a second, my brain tried to make it harmless. Some game, a surprise party, some dumb group meme. But the words getting him out sat there like a crack in a windshield, spreading through everything I thought I knew. My husband, Noah, 33, was in the shower. I could hear the water running down the hall, the low hum of the exhaust fan. Steam curled faintly around the bathroom door. I picked up the iPad. Face ID didn't work, obviously, but I knew his passcode. Our anniversary. We'd been married for 6 years. Lived in this house for 4. Shared holidays. Inside jokes. Favorite shows. Late-night grocery runs, and early morning coffee. I had never had a reason not to trust him. My thumb hovered over the screen for half a second. Then I typed in our date. It opened. The iPad jumped straight into the Messages app, into the group chat whose name was still flashing at the top. Operation Freedom. Getting him out. Participants: Noah's mom, his sister, his aunt, his best friend. 4 people actively plotting something. My chest felt tight, but my hands were steady as I scrolled up. The thread went back weeks. I stopped about 3 weeks ago and started reading. His mom. Phase 1. Document everything. Photos of the house, car titles, bank statements, anything with his signature. We need proof of what he's entitled to. His sister, already helping with that, got pics of her home office last week when she was at work. All the financial docs are in the 3rd drawer. Her home office. My home office. My pulse roared in my ears. His aunt. Phase 2 is the attorney consult. I know someone who will do it discreetly. No paper trail to the house. His best friend. What about phase 3? Are we doing the counseling route first? His mom. No. Counseling gives her time to hide assets. We go straight to filing. He moves out. Files immediately. Claims he felt unsafe. I felt my throat go dry. Unsafe. His sister. The unsafe angle is perfect. Gets him the house in the temporary orders. His aunt. Exactly. Then we push for permanent. He makes good money, too. She'll have to pay if we're smart about it. I stared at that line so long the words started to blur. He makes good money, too. Noah makes about $65K a year in HR. It's decent, honest work. I've never begrudged him for not making more. But I'm the one pulling $120K as an operations manager. I'm the one who bought this house 2 years before we got married, paid the down payment alone, and kept the title in my name. Not because I didn't trust him. Honestly, I forgot to add him later. It was always just mine. We split household expenses proportionally based on income. We have a joint account for bills. We each have separate individual accounts for everything else. Financial abuse? Last year, I wrote a $15,000 check to pay off his remaining student loans. I did it because he hated the monthly payments. I wrapped the confirmation email in a bow and printed it for his birthday. He cried and told me I was the best thing that ever happened to him. Apparently, I'm also the villain in Operation Freedom. I scrolled further down. More messages about which attorney to use, how to access my retirement accounts, which of our friends would definitely side with him, how to make sure he landed the right judge. His sister. Remember the narrative. Controlling wife, isolated husband, financial abuse. His mom. Yes, he needs to be clear about how she makes him feel small. Emotional abuse is still abuse. None of it was true. I don't track his phone. We both have Life 360 because his mom is anxious and we travel sometimes. He can turn it off whenever he wants. He has his own bank account. I've never logged into it, never even asked what's in it. He has his own career, his own friends, his own hobbies. He goes out with them. He travels for work conferences. I have never once told him he couldn't go anywhere. But there it was, a tidy little script where I'm the controlling, financially abusive wife, and he's the trapped, delicate victim. The last message was from 2 hours ago. His mom. Attorney consult is Tuesday. Don't tell her you're going anywhere. Act normal. We're almost there, baby boy. I put the iPad back exactly where I found it. Same angle, same distance from the fruit bowl. Screen off. Then I walked down the hall, sat on the edge of the guest bed, and stared at the wall for a long time while the shower water roared. I could hear Noah humming, just a normal Tuesday for him. My hands started shaking then. Not when I read about them stealing my house, my savings, my reputation. Not when I saw the words unsafe and financial abuse. It was when I realized how easily he'd let them rewrite me. Not just I want out, but I want out, and I want to burn her down on the way. I thought about storming into the bathroom, ripping back the curtain, waving the iPad in his face. I pictured him denying it, saying it's out of context, saying his mom is just dramatic, saying he was planning to tell me. I pictured his family accelerating their plan, rushing to file first, racing to the courthouse while I was still crying in the hallway. Instead, I stood up, wiped my eyes, and went to my real office, the one his sister had apparently already photographed. I closed the door, sat in my chair, opened my laptop. Then I got to work. The next morning, I called an attorney. I didn't even know how to start. Hi, my husband and his family are treating my life like a heist movie. I gave the receptionist the short version. She squeezed me in for that afternoon. When I sat down in the attorney's office, dark wood shelves, neat stacks of paper, the soft buzz of air conditioning, I felt like I'd stepped into a different reality. In this one, my marriage was a case file, not a love story. I told him everything. The group chat name, the phases, the fake narrative of abuse, the plan to file first and take the house. He listened quietly, occasionally jotting notes. "Did you take screenshots?" he asked when I finally ran out of words. I blinked. "No, I was too shocked." "Get them," he said, "today. Screenshot every message you can. Email them to yourself. Upload them somewhere he can't access. Document everything and start protecting yourself." When I left his office, the sky looked different. Too bright. Too sharp. On the drive home, my heart pounded every time I imagined Noah already knowing I'd seen it, even though logically he couldn't. I timed it for when he was out grabbing groceries that evening. He loves going alone, says it's therapeutic. I used to think it was cute. I picked up the iPad again. Same passcode, same chat. I scrolled all the way up and started screenshotting. My fingers moved in a cold, efficient rhythm. Tap, scroll, tap, scroll. Every plan, every accusation, every casual, "we'll say she did," like they were filling in a Mad Lib. Then I opened a new email account he didn't know about, uploaded everything to a cloud drive, and changed that password to something even I wouldn't remember without a written hint locked in my safe. Day 2 and 3 were about money. The attorney had been blunt. If she, in this case he, files first with abuse allegations, even false ones, it can get messy. Judges hate that kind of claim. You're doing the right thing by preparing quietly. We had a joint account for bills with about $8,000 in it. We both contributed to it proportionally. I didn't close it. That would have looked suspicious if he checked. Instead, I went to the bank, removed him as a co-owner, and moved the $8,000 into my personal account. Legally gray, my attorney had said, but less gray than letting them drain it first and then having to fight to trace it. After that, I went home and started changing passwords. Email, bank accounts, investment accounts, credit cards, the retirement portal. Every login he might have seen me type, every account I might have casually mentioned. I called the institution that handles my 401k and asked them to put a note on file. No changes without my direct authorization, no exceptions, no third-party access. Then I changed the password on our home security system, updated the garage code, the keypad lock on the front door. Each little change felt like another brick in a wall between us. He came home that night with bags of groceries, humming, kissed my cheek, and started telling me about some annoying coworker. I stood there, nodding, feeling like an actress watching herself from the balcony. Day 4 and 5, I turned the camera on my own life. I took photos of every room of the house, every piece of furniture, every piece of art, every appliance. I time-stamped them all, saved them to a hard drive, and backed them up in 3 places. I dug out every financial document from the last 3 years. Tax returns, pay stubs, bank statements. I found the receipt for the student loan payoff, the gift letter I'd drafted for tax purposes, his name, the amount, my signature. They're going to call this manipulative, I thought. They're going to say I did it to control him. I put the letter in a folder labeled Exhibits and forced myself not to start shaking. On day 6, my attorney filed for divorce. Not him, me. In our state, the person who files first and gets some strategic advantages. They set the initial narrative. They make the first requests. They force the other party into defense. We filed for irreconcilable differences, no fault language, but attached to the petition were the screenshots of Operation Freedom, lined up like little bullets, evidence of a coordinated plan to fabricate abuse, claim fear, and strip me of my house and savings in bad faith. We also requested exclusive use of the marital home and protection of my separate property, the house I bought before we ever said I do. When I signed my name at the bottom of the paperwork, my hand didn't shake. Later that night, when I lay in bed next to Noah and listened to him breathe, my heart did. He rolled over, slung an arm across my waist, and mumbled, "Love you." I stared into the dark and thought, you had a plan. Now I do too. The next afternoon, while I was at my office, my attorney called. "It's done," he said. He was served at work. I pictured Noah sitting at his desk, HR emails open, a stack of forms beside him, and then a stranger walking in with an envelope that detonated his timeline. A tiny bitter part of me was satisfied. A much larger part of me felt like I'd swallowed glass. My phone buzzed, and buzzed, and buzzed again. 28 messages in 2 hours. "What did you do? Why did I just get served divorce papers at work? You're divorcing me? We need to talk. This is insane. Answer your phone. My mom is freaking out. Everyone is asking questions. You humiliated me." I stared at the screen, let them flood in, then set the phone face down on my desk. His mom called, his sister called, his best friend called. One by one, I blocked them all. Operation Freedom had gone live. Just not the version they expected. Week 1 after filing felt like living in an earthquake that never stopped shaking. Just aftershocks over and over, nothing ever settling. The morning after Noah was served, my attorney called me before I'd even finished my coffee. His attorney reached out, he said. They want to talk settlement. Already? I stared at the steam curling out of my mug. They were planning war last week. People who plan ambushes don't like being ambushed, he replied dryly. Can you come by this afternoon? We'll go over their opening demands. Demands. Of course. His office felt less intimidating the second time. The same shelves, the same steady lamp, the same faint scent of coffee and paper. He slid a printout across the desk to me. This is what his side is asking for. I picked it up. The house. Half of my retirement accounts. Spousal support, $2,500 a month for 5 years. Half the value of my car. For me to pay his attorney fees. I actually laughed. A short, disbelieving sound. Is this a joke? My exact wording, my attorney said, leaning back in his chair. Their justification is that your husband feels entitled to the marital standard of living, and that he's the financially disadvantaged spouse. I stared at the paper, then at him. He and his family were planning to lie about abuse to steal my house, I said slowly. And now they would like me to fund his fresh new start? Pretty much. He tapped the folder with one finger. What they're pretending not to understand is that we have proof of premeditated fraud. Judges don't like that. So here's my counter. He gets his personal belongings, his car, and nothing else. You split the $8,000 from the joint account 50-50. Each of you pays your own attorney's fees. You keep the house and all your separate property. And if they say it's unreasonable, I asked. He smiled, cold and small. Then we go to court with your screenshots and let a judge hear about Operation Freedom. Something warmed in my chest at that. Not joy, not yet, just the faint sensation of not being prey. Okay, I said, do it. 2 days later, the front window rattled with the bass of a car pulling into the driveway. I was halfway through mowing the lawn, earbuds in, sweat dampening the back of my t-shirt, when I saw her. Noah's sister, Jenna, slammed the car door and stalked toward me like she was walking into battle. I cut the mower engine. The sudden silence made the cicadas sound like sirens. We need to talk, she snapped. No, I said, we really don't. Yes, we do, Mia. She planted herself in front of the mower. You are destroying his life. I wiped my forehead with the back of my wrist. He was planning to destroy mine first, I said. I just got there faster. He wasn't trying to destroy you, she shot back. He wanted out. You're controlling and suffocating, and he couldn't take it anymore. There it was, the script. Name one controlling thing I've done, I said calmly. Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. I folded my arms. I'll wait. She floundered. You track his phone. Life 360, I said. We both have it. He can turn his off anytime he wants. Sometimes he does, remember? When he goes to poker nights and you all make fun of him for being off the grid for 4 hours. She flushed. You won't let him have his own bank account. He has his own bank account, I said. He's had one our entire marriage. I've never touched it. Never asked how much is in it. You know that. He's bragged to you about his fun money. She looked like she'd swallowed something bitter. You're just... Her hands flexed at her sides. You're ruining everything. He had a plan, a way out, and you stole it from him. He had a plan, I said evenly. To lie about abuse and take everything I've worked for. Yeah. I stopped that. Cry about it. Her eyes flashed. You're going to give him what he deserves. Or what? I asked, stepping closer. You'll help him file a false police report too? Go ahead, Jenna. I have evidence of your whole family plotting to commit fraud. Try me. Her jaw clenched so hard I could see the muscle jumping. This isn't over, she hissed. You're right, I said. It'll be over when the judge signs the decree. She spun on her heel and stalked back to her car. Gravel spit from under her tires as she peeled away. The moment the sound faded, my legs went weak. I sat down on the front step, heart pounding. It hit me, suddenly, how many dinners I'd cooked for her, how many holidays I'd hosted so she wouldn't have to deal with her mom's tiny kitchen, how many times I'd listened to her cry about some guy who ghosted her. All of that history, flattened into a single cartoon villain, controlling, suffocating, abusive. You don't get to negotiate with people who would rather rewrite you than see you. She came back an hour later. This time she didn't come alone. Noah's mom, Lorraine, got out of the passenger side, lips already pursed, finger already pointed. You selfish, vindictive woman, she started from halfway up the driveway. How dare you serve my son at his workplace? How dare you humiliate him like that? I stood up, my hand still resting on the mower handle. He was going to do the same to me, I said. Actually worse. He was going to falsely claim abuse. He felt abused, she shot back. Emotional abuse is real, Mia. Name one emotionally abusive thing I did, I said. Silence. It stretched between us, hot and cruel. You're just... She floundered exactly like Jenna had. You make him feel small. How? I asked. By working? By paying bills? By paying off his student loans? That student loan payment was manipulative, she burst out. You were trapping him. I stared at her. I wrote a $15,000 check to trap him, I repeated slowly, by eliminating his debt. It was a way to control him, she insisted, to make him feel like he owed you. You're always doing that, always making him feel like he's less than you. I actually laughed. I couldn't help it. I've spent 6 years telling him we're a team, I said. I've spent 6 years telling him his job matters, his contributions matter, his ideas matter. I've helped him clean up his resume, coached him for interviews, celebrated every raise. If he felt less, that's between him and his ego, not me. Her eyes filled with tears on cue. She just wanted to be happy, she said, voice wobbling. She just wanted freedom. She, I repeated softly. I'm the one who paid for freedom. I'm the one who bought this house. I'm the one who covered his loans. Your son was free. He had a car, money, a career, friends, a wife who loved him and supported him. I took a breath. He was planning to lie about me to take more. That's not seeking freedom. That's committing fraud. Jenna stepped forward. We're going to sue you for emotional distress, she spat. Go ahead, I said. I'll countersue for conspiracies to commit fraud, and I'll win. I have receipts. Literally. Lorraine's face twisted with something I couldn't quite read. Rage, fear, humiliation, all braided together. You'll regret this, she whispered. No, I said, my voice finally steady. I regret not noticing sooner who I married. They left. The car pulled away. The street went quiet again. Inside the house, every clock tick sounded too loud. That night, my phone buzzed with a new text. Noah, I booked us a marriage counselor. Tuesday at 6. We need to try, Mia. Please. I stared at the message, my thumb hovering. It would be so easy to read that like a lifeline, like the man I married was reaching through all the noise, asking for help. But now I heard it in his mom's voice. What about phase 3? Are we doing the counseling route first? I forwarded the message to my attorney and called him. Is this legit? I asked. Could it help us, or is it a trap? He finished. Most likely. Counseling gives them a chance to paint you as unstable, controlling, cold, to get you on record saying things they can twist. If you go, do not go alone and do not go without recording. But my advice? You're already in divorce proceedings. There's nothing to counsel. My chest ached. I thought of Noah sitting in some therapist's office, twisting the story into something that made sense for him. Made me wonder, just for a second, if I'd been the villain after all. Then I thought of his mom typing, "Unsafe angle is perfect." I typed back. We're getting divorced. There's nothing to counsel. Don't contact me except through attorneys. He called immediately. I watched his name flash on the screen, then hit block. A second later, my phone buzzed again. His best friend. You're not even willing to try? What kind of wife are you? I stared at the message, something in me finally going still. The kind of wife who doesn't let her husband's family stage a legal mugging and call it love. The kind who doesn't let her husband's family plot against her for months, I typed. Goodbye. Then I blocked him too. Somewhere on the other side of town, Noah and his family were surely regrouping, rewriting, strategizing. Operation Freedom had hit a wall. I had no idea yet how far they'd go to try to break through it. Day 14. 2 weeks since the papers were served. 2 weeks since Noah's family's carefully scripted plans started collapsing in their hands, and since they began scrambling to regain control. I got home from work that Thursday evening feeling wrung out, ready for nothing more than a shower and silence. The sun was setting low and orange, casting long shadows across the driveway. I pressed my garage opener. Nothing happened. I pressed it again. Still nothing. A pit opened in my stomach. I tried the front door. My key slid in, but didn't turn. Once, twice, my heartbeat spiked. He didn't. He wouldn't be that stupid. I stepped back from the door, gripping my bag so hard the strap dug into my palm. For a full 10 seconds, I just stood there on the porch, unable to move, unable to breathe. Then I pulled out my phone and dialed my attorney. He answered on the second ring. Mia? He changed the locks, I said. My voice came out too calm, too controlled. On my house. There was a pause, then, call the police, right now. I'll text you exactly what to tell them. Do not go inside, even if he shows up. I hung up and dialed 911. My husband changed the locks on my home, I told the dispatcher. I own the house. I have a court order granting me exclusive use. I'm in the process of divorce. He's not on the deed. Stay where you are, ma'am, she said. Officers will arrive shortly. My hands were shaking now. Not from fear, but from outrage so sharp it felt like electricity. This was phase whatever. Improvised, sloppy, desperate. He'd been trying to retake the narrative after losing control of the timeline. His family must have convinced him this was some brilliant move to establish possession. The ridiculous part? If Noah had simply asked to come by for his things, I would have followed the legal process. But changing the locks on a home he didn't own? That was a crime. The police cruiser rolled up within 10 minutes. The officers stepped out, calm and practical, hands on utility belts, scanning the property. Ma'am, can you show us your ID and documentation? One asked. I handed over everything, my license, a copy of the deed, the court order. The taller officer nodded. Clear. This is your property. He has no authority to change the locks. Before he could say anything else, a familiar car turned onto the street. Noah's car. His mother in the passenger seat. I felt my jaw tighten. Noah got out, eyes wide with a mix of panic and indignation. Lorraine bounded out behind him like she was storming a stage. Officer, she called. This is her marital home. She's trying to lock my son out. That's not what I asked, the officer said, unbothered. Is his name on the deed? Noah opened his mouth, closed it, tried again. But officer, come on, this is my home too. No, the officer said, it's not. Not legally. Lorraine's voice rose, shrill and desperate. She's manipulating the court. She's controlling him. The officer held up a hand. Ma'am, yelling won't change property law. Noah turned to me then. And the look he gave me, I'd seen him angry, hurt, annoyed, even resentful on rare occasions. But I had never seen this. Betrayal. Like I had broken his trust. Like I was the one who'd been plotting with my family for weeks to drain his accounts, steal his home, and accuse him of abuse. Mia, he said, voice cracking, where am I supposed to go? The officer answered before I could. That's not our concern, he said. You need to leave the property. You're currently trespassing. Noah's face flushed. Trespassing? In my own house? Not your house, the officer said again. If you refuse to leave, we will have to proceed with removal. Lorraine grabbed Noah's arm. We're not leaving, she hissed. You live here. Ma'am, the officer said sharply, I won't say it again. You need to leave. Now. For a moment, I truly thought she might try to push past him. Instead, she let out a frustrated sob and stomped back toward the car. Noah looked at me one last time. He looked small, lost, cornered. If he had apologized, really apologized, if he had shown even a flicker of remorse, even pretended to understand how badly he had hurt me, maybe a part of me would have cracked. But he didn't. He just glared at me, like I'd stolen a script he was supposed to be playing out. The car pulled away. The street fell silent again. The officers escorted me back to the front door, instructed me to call a locksmith. It cost me $350. I paid it without blinking. I'd add it to the growing list of expenses to claim in the divorce. The next morning, my attorney called. They want to settle, he said. I was sitting at the kitchen table, hair still damp from a shower, a cold cup of coffee untouched in front of me. I blinked. Already? Changing the locks was a catastrophe for them. The police report didn't help, and the screenshots are a sword hanging over their heads. They know they'll lose in court. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. What are they offering? She takes her personal belongings, he said. Her car, $4,000 from the joint account. Same amount you get. Each of you pays your own fees. No alimony, no claim to the house, no claim to your retirement. It was so generous compared to what they'd originally planned. The husband version of Noah would have gutted his wife. But now, he was being offered a clean exit with minimal humiliation. My attorney waited. Well, he asked. Done, I said. When can we sign? Waiting for the paperwork to finalize was like standing still while the world kept moving around me. The house was quiet in a way it hadn't been in years. Every room held a memory, some warm, some hollowed out now. I thought of the woman I'd once been at 29, standing barefoot in the living room while Noah twirled me around after assembling our first IKEA couch, laughing so hard I'd nearly dropped the screwdriver. I thought of how proud he'd looked the day I paid off his loans, how he'd hugged me and whispered that no one had ever believed in him like I did. I thought about the way he used to slip into bed behind me, wrapping his arm around my waist like I was home. Had all of that been real? Or had his family been whispering poison into him all along, drop by drop? Sometimes love dies loudly. In fights, in slammed doors, in sharp words. Ours died quietly. In a group chat I was never meant to see. In the lies they built to justify stealing my life. In the moment Noah chose to believe them instead of me. By the time the settlement meeting was scheduled, I wasn't angry anymore. I was emptied out, scraped clean, ready for whatever came next. Ready to be free, even if the freedom came wrapped in the ruins of something I once loved. The day of the settlement conference, the world felt strangely still. Not quiet, still. The kind of stillness you feel before a storm breaks or after one has finally passed through and left nothing standing but the bones of whatever survived. I drove to my attorney's office with both hands gripping the wheel. My stomach felt like someone had tied a knot in it hours earlier and kept pulling it tighter. The air outside was cold enough to fog the glass as I parked. Inside, the conference room was sterile. White walls, a long, dark table, a monitor mounted on the wall for the video call. My attorney adjusted a stack of papers. His calmness was a rope I held onto. You ready? He asked. Yes, I said. And it was true. Not strong, not brave, not confident, but ready. The screen flickered. Noah appeared in a small box on the upper left corner, sitting beside his attorney. His shoulders were tense, his jaw clenched in a way I recognized. The same way he clenched it when things didn't go his way, but he wanted everyone to think they had. He wouldn't look directly at the camera at first. I wondered if that was shame or resentment, maybe both. The settlement review began. My attorney read the agreement line by line, his voice measured and clinical, the opposite of what this marriage had turned into. Noah's attorney confirmed each point stiffly, the reluctance in his tone obvious. You understand, my attorney said at one point, that this settlement waives any claim to the marital home, as well as any claim to retirement accounts or spousal support. Noah's throat bobbed. Yes. And you understand you will receive $4,000 from the joint account and retain your car and personal items. Yes. And each of you will pay your own attorney's fees. A long pause. Yes. My attorney turned to me. Do you agree to these terms, Mia? Yes, I said. My voice didn't shake. Noah's attorney nodded toward the screen. If both parties agree, the next step is electronic signatures. After that, the divorce will become final, following the state-mandated waiting period. They sent the documents to our devices. I clicked through them, page after page of legal dissection. What stays, what goes, what dies, what survives. The cursor hovered for a second over the signature line. Then I signed. On the monitor, Noah's signature blinked in a moment later. His attorney gave a clipped final confirmation. The settlement is executed. There was a beat of silence, and then both attorneys began packing up, ending the call. The little boxes on the screen disappeared one by one until it was just Noah and me left, each unsure whether to disconnect. He finally broke first. I hope you're happy, he said. Not with rage, not with grief, with bitterness. I met his eyes through the screen, eyes I had once known better than my own. I'm not happy, I said. I'm protected. There's a difference. He looked like he'd been slapped. You think I wanted this? He said. I wasn't trying to destroy you. You were planning to accuse me of abuse, I said quietly. That is destroying someone. That wasn't my idea. It doesn't matter, I said. You went along with it. You let them paint me as a monster. You let them plan to take everything from me. His mouth opened, ready to fire back, but nothing came out. He swallowed. My family was just trying to help, he said finally. Help you do what? I asked. Commit fraud? Lie in court? Steal my house? Your version of help involved me losing everything I'd worked for. Noah's eyes dropped. He didn't apologize. He didn't defend himself either. He just ended the call. The screen went dark. The weeks after that were a strange kind of quiet. He came with his mom, sister, and best friend to pack his things. I wasn't home. My attorney advised against it, but my security cameras recorded everything. He took his clothes, shoes, books, personal items. Normal. Then they started taking things that weren't his. My coffee maker, my television, 3 lamps, the microwave, our wedding china, artwork I'd bought years before I even met him. I called my attorney immediately. Do you have video? He asked. Yes. Good. Send it. The next morning, Noah's attorney contacted us. Everything was returned except the coffee maker. Apparently, he'd already thrown it away. $80. I didn't care. I could buy another coffee maker. I couldn't buy another peace of mind. 3 weeks passed. The house began to feel like mine again. The air changed somehow, lighter, less crowded with invisible arguments and imagined betrayals. I painted the living room one Saturday. Something soft and warm, nothing dramatic. I donated some furniture, rearranged the bookshelf, cooked dinner only for myself, and learned that silence wasn't so terrifying after all. Work was steady. Friends checked in. My brother and his wife brought me dinner twice, both times pretending not to notice when I got quiet or distant. Life kept moving, even after someone tried to pull it out from under me. One night, my brother asked gently, "Do you feel bad? About how it ended?" I thought about it. Honestly, no. I felt relieved, validated, like I'd dodged something I didn't see coming until it was inches from my face. Maybe I wish things had been different, I said, but I don't feel bad for protecting myself. The truth was simpler. I'd married a man who allowed his family to rewrite our marriage into a fable where he was the victim and I was the villain. He didn't just believe it. He participated. He rehearsed his lines. He let them script the ending. A week before the divorce became final, I did something I hadn't done since the night I saw the first message illuminate Noah's iPad. I sat on the couch, the one he didn't try to take, and let myself remember. Not the lies, not the betrayal, not the legal strategies, or the Cold War of screenshots and evidence, but the early pieces. The soft laughter, the road trips, the rainy Sunday mornings in bed, the small, ordinary kindnesses before things twisted into something unrecognizable. Because those things had been real too. They just weren't enough to survive what came after. When the final court notice arrived, I opened it calmly. Line stood out. Your divorce is finalized. I sat very still, reading it again, letting the meaning settle over me like dust in sunlight. I wasn't married anymore. I wasn't tied to a man who could plan to break me and still call it love. I wasn't tied to a family who believed manipulation, lies, and entitlement were tools of survival. I wasn't waiting for the next blow, the next accusation, the next betrayal. I was free. Not the way they meant it in Operation Freedom, the way they meant to rip apart my life and leave me gutted. No, I was free because I saved myself. I closed the letter, set it on the counter, and breathed. Deeply, fully. Maybe for the first time in months. The lesson wasn't dramatic or poetic, it was simple and brutal. Trust your instincts. Document everything. Protect yourself before confronting betrayal. And when someone shows you who they're willing to be in secret, believe them. Noah wanted freedom. He got it, just not the way he planned. And so did I.